lot of people outside of France see Saumur being almost kind of like a, 75% planted actually in Chinon, while it's actually kind of the other way around. 75% of the vineyard here in Saumur is planted in Cabernet Franc, and then the rest, about 25%, is planted in Chenin. And so the Cabernet Franc that is here this shifted actually, because historically, when the appellation of Saumur Champigny was created back in 1956, historically Saumur was producing more Chinon, specifically at this time when the appellation was created for sparkling wine, because you have to understand Champagne wasn't always able to produce, and so they were sometimes, some of the big maisons were bringing in juice actually from other areas, and Chinon, having high acidity and being grown on limestone, has a similar profile for what they needed. So I'm getting off subject. What I wanted to get back to is your question, Damien. So at least Cabernet Franc, though, there was a whole fad back in the period after the war up for rosé, and so a lot of growers ripped out their Chinon to plant Cabernet Franc and be able to make rosé. And red wine was what actually poor people were drinking, and what kind of your average vineyard worker had the right to have from his boss on a monthly basis for his personal consumption. So historically, there's not been a notoriety for Cabernet Franc in Saumur as being what stands out compared to Chinon, which has a deeper history of Cabernet Franc and having reds that are very noble coming out of it. What makes, I think, Chinon and Saumur Cabernet Franc, I think, has a certain bigger structure to their wines. I think that the Cabernet Francs can be a little bit more, I don't want to be too general and say it, because I do obviously want to support Saumur wines and say that I prefer them, but I think that Chinon sometimes there can be a certain rustic character to it, a little bit more abrasive, whereas I think some of the Saumur wines have a certain level of finesse actually that a lot of people, when they start tasting them, they are impressed with, and they can find that really stands out. Even sometimes the Cabernet Francs, I think, that are made in Saumur can have a certain, can hint sometimes towards Pinot Noir, certainly. So,
what food would you order to go with the Saumur versus the Chinon?
Okay, yeah. So Chinon, I'd be looking more for red meats. Maybe certain dishes that have a certain that are being made with a little bit more spice or a little certain smokiness. I would definitely go towards Chinon, and that was able to withhold that same intensity and that same structure of the food. While as Saumur, I'm going to be looking for more maybe delicate, certain dishes that have like veal or certain poultry that are a little bit more, that are a little lighter.
What other wine regions would you point them to find something else they might love? Assuming that they love your Cab Franc, what do you think they might love at big wine shop that has something from all around the world?
You know, what's great about Cabernet Franc is that it's kind of a middle ground, I think, often between Syrah and Pinot Noir. That's kind of how I like to see it, because on warmer vintages, it can have kind of a Mediterranean touch to it, where there's spice, there's kind of an aromatic profile around black fruit. While as in cooler vintages, it can, as I said before, it has hints of Pinot Noir, and so it can be delicate. It can have kind of these earthy flavors, even hints of rose petals, red berry, red currant. And I love this expression, this way of seeing wine, as sometimes being able to have liquid rock in my glass. And so when I'm thinking of places that would allow me to have liquid rock in my glass, Sicily is kind of one of the some of the wines from the Mount Etna area specifically come to my mind. So I don't know if that answers the question.